Acción, tu revista mensual de cine y series, con los mejores estrenos de cine, fichas y reportajes coleccionables, series de televisión y 4 pósters todos los meses. Búscala en tu kiosco.
Primero, darles la enhorabuena por esta nueva temporada y preguntarles, porque Jorge, usted es el nexo de unión creativo entre las dos series, viene de la primera temporada. ¿Cómo ha sido recuperar a estos, aparte de los personajes, en esta nueva aventura que cambia por completo el estilo, pero no el tipo de misterio que nos enfrentamos?
Bueno, fue muy bonito sobre todo tener la posibilidad de hacer una continuación y no hacer otra serie que tuviera la marca de Head pero que fuera completamente distinta, ¿no? La idea era poder mantener la idea del casi 10 negritos mystery thriller con el elemento de survival, que es lo que tenía, digamos, la primera temporada, y continuar con los dos personajes para mí principales de la primera, que era ese duelo que hay entre Maggie y Arthur, ¿no? Entre Catherine O'Donnell y John Lynch, ¿no? Esa fue la clave. Cuando empezamos a pensar en desarrollar la historia de la segunda temporada, fue conseguir que estos dos personajes continuaran. Y a partir de ahí, intentar elevar de alguna manera la serie para darle al espectador de alguna manera todo lo que le había gustado de la primera temporada, pero digamos el mismo plato con otro color, ¿no? Y a eso nos ayudó mucho la idea del carguero, en medio del Pacífico también, ¿no? En la primera temporada de la Antártida, en medio de la nada. En la segunda temporada es este Point Nemo, que está como en medio del Pacífico, ¿no? Entonces, un edificio, en este caso un barco, pero que es casi como una ciudad, como una mansión gigante flotante en medio de la nada, y estos personajes que no pueden escapar y que tienen un asesino entre ellos, ¿no?
Quería preguntar en este caso por heredar ese proyecto, tomar esa idea que no es suya y esos personajes, que hay personajes nuevos, pero tenemos esos dos personajes centrales que siguen siendo los de la serie anterior. ¿Cómo ha sido llegar a ese proyecto y embarcarse en esta segunda temporada?
So, the question is, you have somewhat inherited this project, and although there's two characters which are still the same as in the first season, there's a whole set of new characters. So what was it like for you to take over this project and bring it to fruition?
So we are very connected to season one. We didn't inherit everything. For us, it's a second child. But it was really, really interesting for us in the process of understanding how can we take what the head is, but then tell a story which is completely different, entertaining, surprising, but still at the end you are left with the feeling that you've watched the second season of the head, not another story. So I think it's obvious that the two first things that you look at are the characters. Maggie and Arthur, they are continuing their rivalry from season one. It's a great bridge for us to continue telling the story. But at the same time, both these characters go through dramatic changes. Everything you saw in season one is now different. And you need to look at these characters and see how can they be different? I think I know them so well. But I think it's also part of life. You know somebody, you think you know what he's going to do, and then suddenly he becomes another person. And I think the secret for that is the time that has passed from season one to season two and what happened to the characters. When we were working with the actors, trying to understand what they're going to do with season two, we talked about the traumas. What happened to Arthur while he was in prison before he came to season two? What happened to Maggie, succeeding in her plot but losing so many things while coming to season two? And I think what was really, really interesting and in a way fun for us to do is to take these characters that you know so well and make them work in a different way. I think we kept the basic, as Jorge said before, we kept the basic things that make the head. But it's almost like saying, okay, there's a ball, let's play a game with it. And I say, okay, we can play football, we can play basketball, we can play baseball. They're all so different. At the end of the day, it's somebody with a ball winning. But all the other things are so different and so powerful. So I think we are inviting two kinds of viewers to watch this show. The people who enjoyed season one and would like to have the same experience, I think we're offering them 2.0. And also the people who haven't watched season one and missed it for some reason and want to dive into a really, really good psychological thriller, I think The Head tells a story that you can jump in and enjoy without watching season 1.
¿Te enteras? No, bueno.
Don't worry. I'm speaking this. I just want the translation for the audience. But I want to ask you, because I have the feeling watching season 2 that I don't know if we can call it season 2. I think it's a continuous story. That
True.
We left the story at episode 6 and we start with episode 7. That that was the presentation. This is the main course for this time. So I want to know how it's been that continuity, and also if there is going to be an ending for this story, a third season, or maybe even more.
So definitely for us, it's episode 7 till
Well, it's
12.
it's labeled like that. When you start watching, it says 7, no?
Completely. So season 2 picks up several months after season 1 ended, and the consequences of season 1 are completely there. We are telling a story that is continuing. I have to say that realizing that we can do that was a miracle, because when we finished season 1, we didn't plan to continue the story. And the moment that we were pitched the idea by Jordi Balseran, and he said, listen guys, I think there's a way to continue the story completely from the point you left it, and to continue the dilemmas that you had in season 1 in telling season 2, was a moment, for me, the biggest eureka moment I had in my career. I really felt a light bulb go above my head, and I said to myself, how could we be so stupid not to think of it ourselves? And lucky to meet Jordi and to work with him and Mariano on season 2. So yes, it's a continuation of season 1. We keep telling the story. We don't think the story ends in season 2. We think we can keep telling that story. There's something about The Head which is still interesting to us, to keep playing with that setup, to see how can we put a group of people in an isolated place, somebody loses his head, it's one of them, what do you do? We think we can take this box and turn it in more directions and more ways and still keep it interesting for us to make and for the viewers to watch.
Bueno, es un reto siempre, ¿no? Poder tener esa continuidad y al mismo tiempo dar al espectador lo mismo pero un poco diferente. Al principio, yo recuerdo cuando se aprobó el desarrollo de la segunda temporada, que digo, pero ¿cómo vamos a volver a hacer lo mismo? El espectador nos va a tirar cosas a la cabeza, ¿no? Otra vez la misma historia de hay un asesino entre nosotros. Y de repente te das cuenta de que puedes, de que de repente la narrativa te permite jugar y sobre todo porque ya tienes al espectador contigo, ya ha comprado tu juego y quiere que le sorprendas, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, ahí nuestro reto todo el rato es cómo le podemos dar al espectador cosas nuevas sin que sienta que es una serie distinta, ¿no? Y es muy divertido, la verdad, es una pasada tanto en la parte de escritura, desarrollo, como luego la parte de trabajo con los actores.
I think it's a lot about understanding that you need to dramatically change the way you tell the story. So you can start with the same setup, but tell the story in a completely different way. I think that way it enables you to enjoy it, even though you know how it starts, and you think you know how it ends. But the storytelling, which is different, I think it enables you to jump into a new adventure.
Okay, but after that last shot, that ending shot of the show, we need a season 3, please. That goes. I need to know how that goes. And
We love.
it's been harder to shoot or to recreate a ship than to recreate the Polaris base in the first season. What's been harder for you to create this ship or to create that place isolated also, but you shoot in Iceland, right?
Sí, es muy... Bueno, todo es muy difícil. No, para que no lo intenten en sus casas. No, la primera temporada el gran reto fue efectivamente no ir a la Antártida y dar la sensación de que estás en la Antártida. Rodamos en Islandia y rodamos en un plató, en 2 platós y también en un carguero, en una petrolera, ¿no? En una petrolera en Tenerife. Digamos, eran como 4 piezas de un puzzle. Aquí era mucho más complejo porque para rodar en un barco yo me empeñé en que necesitaba un barco de verdad, yo no quería hacer un barco digital. Entonces conseguimos alquilar un carguero real con su tripulación y llevarlo a alta mar y rodar, ¿no? Obviamente no pudimos rodar todo ahí, entonces hay una gran parte también de construcción, sobre todo en la parte del laboratorio. Parte también del barco está construido porque en las estrecheces de un barco pues no puedes rodar todo lo que tienes que rodar. Pero bueno, no sé, todo es muy difícil, sobre todo rodar en un barco de verdad, con ruido de verdad, con olores de verdad, con alarmas, con incendios de verdad, en fin, todo es muy complejo. Ahora me he hecho un experto yo creo que ya me puedo sacar el patrón de barco de cargueros.
I think we had a metaphor for this before. I think, season 1 we built a lab inside a studio, and it was very complicated to make it look like it's Antarctica. That was a hard thing. Now comes season 2 and says, okay, this is this. I'm going to swallow you inside a gigantic ship. So we're actually, instead of moving aside, we are growing all the time. And I think in that sense, it becomes really, really interesting. Because I think we have what we had in season 1, the scientists in the lab and all of that, but it's just one part of what season 2 is about. You're in a ship. It's floating. There are different groups of people. It's much, much, much more complicated. I think concerning what Jorge does in his work and the actor's work, it was much more demanding because to shoot on a real ship is so expensive that there's no weekend. You cannot leave this gigantic set just resting while money is dripping. So you need to shoot constantly, 7 days a week. In the weekends, take it out to the ship to shoot it inside the ocean. It's a much more demanding physical and mental process, I think, for everybody doing the show. Like on season 1, Jorge used to have the weekends to think about the next week. In this season, I don't know when he was thinking, because he shot, he finished, he continued next day, and 2 units working parallel in the same time because the ship is so big. But also we understand that we need every minute of us being on the ship is precious, and we need to take it. I think the result is in the show. You can feel that power. You can feel the diversity of locations, diversity of places, and so many different elements. A lot of more action scenes. Like in season 1, we kept telling ourselves, it's not an action scene, it's a psychological scene. So if we do something in action, it's very limited. In season 2, we do big scenes. And I think it creates a deeper story. I don't want to say bigger, because I think quantity is never an aspect for a viewer. I think quality, it's more layered.
Well, congrats for what's worth. I watched the complete second season last night.
Thank you.
Watching. So congratulations. And I hope there is a season 3. We need that.
We hope to.
What did you find most enjoyable? What was like the thing for you in season 2?
I think that I enjoyed a lot the tricks of the plot, the twists and turns that it has, but the relationship between the characters we know, between Catherine and John, that relationship that is, I don't want to say it on camera because it's a spoiler, but that is what it is, and that ends how it ends. I think that's really enjoyable because it's an Agatha Christie mystery.
Completely.
So we have some sets that we know previously, that we understand, some mysteries to discover, to unveil. But when you have that relationship between those 2 characters, and you discover that relationship is what it is, and the relationship between father and daughter, and how it ends on that boat at the end, I think that's amazing. That's really enjoyable. You are watching something that you think is going to go one way, and you expect yourself to be surprised, but then it turns in another direction, and you find out yourself lost in the sea. really, really something that you are. I was watching an episode. Okay, I need another episode. I need to know where this is going to. I need to know more. And when it ends like that, I need to know more. I need to know with this character and that
Ghost.
devil.
Yeah.
I need to know more about it. So, congrats.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Acción, tu revista mensual de cine y series, con los mejores estrenos de cine, fichas y reportajes coleccionables, series de televisión y 4 pósters todos los meses. Búscala en tu kiosco.